Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I figured I'd do a tank review this time, and I also figured I'd do it on the very first tier 10 I ever got. It's right in front of you. It's a shoebox. Oh, it only looks like one. It's actually the mouse. Yeah, I've had this thing since, well, I'll put it this way. When I first got it, the effects of a repair kit only lasted 2 minutes tops. And, well, you can only imagine how long ago that was. About 3 years. Or 3.5. No, about 3 years this month. Yeah. Anyway, like I was saying, it was my first one, and I got pretty damn good in it. And then all of a sudden, all these new tanks started popping up, and it got nerfed to having 2,800 hit points. And all these new tanks that popped up had ridiculous guns at the time, like this thing. I mean, this thing could shred a mouse like butter. Its average penetration at 100 meters with standard AP is 258. So, let's see. If a T-110 was shooting at the mouse from the front, at pretty much any angle, let's say this one. Well, no, let's say this one. He can go straight through this. He can still go through that unless you're at an angle more like that. And, well, those are some pretty big glaring weak spots on the thing. On this side, it's not as bad, because you don't... On this side, you can't go through that unless you're using gold runs from something truly ridiculous, like a... you know, I'm not even sure. But there are a few tanks that have been able to do that with heat rounds on me. I think one of the ones that did it to me was an IS-4. Hang on. Well, maybe not an IS-4. Because they've both got pretty much... Right. Yeah, they've pretty much got the same exact gun, except the IS-4 is slightly less accurate, does a little more damage, and has a longer aiming time and a lower rate of fire. Or higher rate of fire. No, lower, yeah. But, oh well, whatever. What I'm trying to say is, the mouse got phased out for a little while. Plus, because of nerfs, new tanks that just made it near impossible to drive. All that stuff. Then, a while back, I'm not sure how long exactly, I've got a video that I uploaded of the mouse pretty much the day they brought that patch out, which boosted its health back up to 3,000 hit points. And I think they also gave it an armor buff. I don't think they actually increased the armor. I think they just fixed the hitboxes and made the weak points a bit smaller on it. I'm not entirely sure what they did, but it feels like it bounces more, assuming you use it right. And speaking of bouncing things, this thing is the side-scraping king of the game. Mostly because, see all of this? That is exactly 185 millimeters of spaced armor, plus the massive tracks and road wheels you've got to go through, plus the armor that's behind the tracks, which is pretty damn thick. So, I mean, if you're side-scraping with this thing, it's going to be really hard for people to penetrate your armor. Unless you're stupid and side-scrape at an angle like that, where this side of your turret is the one that's showing. What you should do is put yourself in a position to where it's this side of the turret showing, because, like I said before, that is a much harder target to actually go through. And, well, the mouse is, well, it's a mouse. It's slow and cumbersome. I don't need to go into the stats on that. What I will go into the stats about is the gun. The gun is pretty subpar. I mean, when the mouse was pretty much the top of the food chain a long time ago, its gun was pretty damn good. I mean, it wasn't as good as the T30s, and it was better than the IS-7s. I say T30 because the T30 was the American Tier 10 heavy up until the, I forgot which patch introduced it. I think it was 7.5. No, 7.5 was the French tanks. I think, or was it 7.2 that was the French tanks? Oh, whatever. It was a fairly early patch that introduced the new Tier 10 American heavy and the M103, and the T110E5. I think that's also the same patch that introduced the American tank destroyers. I might be wrong. I don't really remember. The details are somewhat hazy, but like I said, the gun now is pretty bad for a Tier 10. And as you can probably see, I carry an even stock of AP and APCR, mostly because, well, a lot of times there are targets that I can reliably penetrate with regular AP, and there are also just as many targets that I can only penetrate with APCR reliably. And the reason for that is the regular AP only has 246 millimeters of penetration at 100 meters. The APCR is a big improvement, but it's still not that great with only 311. However, its alpha damage is the best out of all the Tier 10 heavies except the E100. So you're usually going to average about, well, I average about 512 damage a shot with this thing. And it's not very accurate. Don't be aiming for weak spots at long range. You're not going to hit them. Its dispersion at 100 meters is 0.38. That is just a step below what the IS-7 has, which is 0.4. Yeah. It's pretty bad. The aiming time is pretty bad as well. It's nearly 3 seconds. That is why I've got... Oh. No, I don't. Never mind. I was about to say that I had a vertical stabilizer and a, gun laying drive on it, but no, I don't. I've got the vents, a spall liner because Artie loves this thing, and a gun rammer. Because the rate of fire is crap too. It reloads every 16 seconds with the rammer and a fully trained crew. I mean, I don't know. I mean, personally, I believe that the mouse should have a researchable gun. And I believe that researchable gun should be the Yag Tiger's Top 128, because it is just vastly superior in every way. It's got better penetration, it's got a higher average damage, it's way more accurate, and it aims faster. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I mean, the mouse is certainly not a bad tank, and you're going to see why in the replay that I put up with this video. And, I mean, yeah, my team lost that match, but I lived and did better than anyone on both teams. So, and you know what, yeah, just real quick, I'm gonna bring this this beast up on Tank Viewer if I can get it to work. So, I'll be back in a moment. And we're back. I found the correct version of Tank Viewer, and gotta say, the one that I had initially downloaded was, well, sucked. So I went and looked for the version that people like Jingles and Sircon and whatnot use, and I found it. Right, well, like I said, just for shits and giggles, let's take a look at the armor. It's got ridiculous armor everywhere, pretty much. That's what this tank is known for, really. And actually, I'm actually kind of surprised. This is thicker than I thought it was before. I mean, as you go up, it's not as thick, but once you go down, it gets a bit more. And all of this is just, don't shoot here. Don't shoot here at all. And only shoot here if you know you can, if you are absolutely sure your gun has enough power in it to do it, which is unlikely. I mean, I've had it happen once, but that's because an arty round hit me there, and that's about it. And all of this is pretty much an auto bounce at an angle like that up until you get to like this right here at this specific angle, but even then, that's, well, you can see the counter. And like I said, when you're side scraping with this tank, you want to do it right here, because like right here, anything can penetrate this at tier 10. Hell, even some tier 8s, if they're good enough shots, can land a shot straight in through the optic right here. So, like I said, you want to do it like this, because it's a smaller area, and there's no obvious weak point there. I mean, sure, the armor is a little bit erratic in places, but that's because it's rounded. It's going to be hard to penetrate anyway. And all of this is just an auto ricochet. Let's see. Let's see with the 130 that. Yeah, like you could penetrate here, but you'd need like 500 millimeters of pen, and all 130s just don't have that. So, I mean, if you're gonna aim for anything on this tank at this angle, I'd just say rush him and get up on his side and start putting shots into a roundabout here, because I think that's where the ammo is. It's either right there or it's on the other side or both. Oh, and I was actually wrong before. All of this is, that's 105 millimeters of spaced armor with 80 millimeters of armor behind it, plus the massive tracks and road wheels in between it. It's got an equivalent thickness of 235 millimeters. And then all of this, that's just straight up 185. This is, well, you can see, equivalent 238. And whatever you do, don't shoot here, guys. Just don't do it. It's such a weird thing. Like, especially down here, that's 818 millimeters of armor. Nothing in the game can penetrate that. And then all of this is, yeah, just don't do it. You're just gonna be wasting ammo I mean, and yes, the Girls und Panzer thing does work. If you can manage to have the mouse aim at someone like that, oh, come on, stay there. Well, like that, you can easily plop shots straight into his engine deck right there. Or right here. Any of that is going to be engine damage. Or you could just be a complete dick and right after you shoot him in the engine, shoot right here and kill his driver too. If you do that, then I'm sorry, you can't be my friend. You're a terrible person. Why would you do that to a mouse? They have a hard enough time being fat anyway. Even the rear armor is pretty thick too. I mean, all of this is like, yeah, it's like 190 millimeters thick. All of this is actually more around 220. Let's leave it at that. Anyway, that's all I really gotta say for that. And like I said, pretty much anywhere that's purple, don't shoot it. That's just gonna, you're just gonna waste ammo. Don't bother shooting for these either. It's just not gonna do anything. I got hiccups now. Anyway, on to the replay. Okay, and on to the replay itself. Okay, there we go. I mean, it's on Sacred Valley, probably one of my least favorite maps, especially for this tank. But, I mean, I personally had a good game. My team, no. But at least my team did give the enemy hell when they were still alive. So that's a plus. I mean, this was indeed a good match. It pissed me off a little because we did lose, but the worst part is we lost when we were just about to win, too. So, I mean, that kind of bothers me just a little bit. I mean, with both teams, we both had our fair share of terrible players and somewhat alright players, and then there's people who actually knew that what they were doing, like me, the 121 on our team, the IS-4, and the ST, well, sexually transmitted infection on their team. Although they did have more completely useless people on their team. They had one more than we did. Anyway, let's start this thing and go ahead and go. I'm going to keep it sped up until I get to where I'm going. Because this thing, well, like I said, and like you should know, it's really slow. I didn't bother to take a shot at anyone there. And that Jagdtiger is trying to push me up the hill, but somehow or another I was outrunning him. I have no idea, so don't ask. I just don't know how I was outrunning a Jagdtiger. But I start pushing up, and I hit the C-30. They start shooting at me at some point or another, but most of the shots are bounces. I destroy this house because I want the rest of my team to move up behind me. But obviously they don't, as usual. Bounce off the T-57 Heavy with APCR somehow or another. And I hit the T-30 again, I think. No, I don't. I mean, right now, they haven't really done anything except track me, which is a bit bothersome. And there's the FV. Put a shot into him, and he gets the guy right next to me. I gotta feel bad for him. Really do. I start pushing this guy's corpse as cover, and it works out pretty well, actually. I haven't really... There we go. Yeah, although I do gotta say, that first shot I took at the T-57, and that bounce, he came back to haunt me a little bit. I still get him either way, but I accidentally break our Jagdtiger's gun. Today was just not my day for World of Tanks. Yeah, that KV-4 is not really a threat, but he's the only thing I have a clear shot on, so I'm just going ahead and trying to put him out of the fight. The T-57 hits me, I think. I think it was him. And he's spamming heat. Yeah, it was the T-57. And he's spamming heat. But what else can you expect from a person who has 837 efficiency ratings? The Death Star hits me. Pissed me off a little bit. But, hey, whatever. All that's really left is me and this T-54. I think there's another guy with us, but he dies pretty soon. I push out here with the BK's corpse again, using it as cover from the FB and everything like that, and I put a shot right into that guy's gun, and I don't know why, but it didn't break his gun. I honestly have no idea why. It should have, but it didn't. And now I'm all alone, and I just realized that, so I start backing up like a motherfucker. Here's the Object 704. He does get a shot on me, but it doesn't do anything. Well, actually, I think he gets 2 shots on me. There's that IS-4 trying to get me again. He just bounces. I mean, I would be side-scraping, but there's nothing to really side-scrape against. The only thing that I really could have side-scraped on were the enemy tank, the dead friendly tanks around me, but that would have kept me in the entire enemy team over there's firing lines. And, well, I've got half health. I don't want to get shot at anymore. I start trying to side-scrape on this, but the IS-4 doesn't pop out. So I push forward since all the enemies are, there's the IS-4, since all the enemies are on the other side of the hill pretty much. Take a shot, miss, I just kill the ground. And then I've got an AMX 1375 coming up behind me, but he's just bouncing. And I try and ram the IS-4, but he's backing up, so it doesn't really work. But that's okay. I pushed him up the hill, and that gave me a flat angle at him. I'm still not too concerned about the AMX 1375, because there's something much scarier in front of me, obviously. I take his track off, and the 1375 is just loaded gold, but whatever. I'm still more concerned about this guy. But now I can concentrate on this little... Pardon my use of the word. It seemed fitting. And this is what I was talking about by reverse Girls and Panzer. Because I couldn't hit him if I had kept him on flat ground. So I just backed him up on the side of the hill. And I can hit him just fine. And now, this is what I was talking about by the T-57 came back to haunt me. Yeah. My mouse is hurting. Real bad. And just take a look at the capture bar. Our T-71 is in the cap by himself. Just watch what happens. Because we're about to win. And all of a sudden, a Wild Object 263 appears and takes it all away. But hey, at least I get the T-57, so that's a plus. And here we just lost. Yeah, best defeat ever, I guess. I mean, I personally think we deserved to win that, in my opinion. Or at least I deserved to win it, because, I mean, fuck me, I did 2 times more damage than pretty much anyone on my team, and 1.5 times more damage than anyone on theirs. I also soaked up about 10,000 damage from them. So, I mean, fuck me, right? But hey, it was a fun match for while it lasted. It would have been more fun if we'd have won it. But whatever. I did 6,525 damage and got 5 kills. I'm happy about that. So, anyway, let's look at exactly what I got. Right, so, I got Steel Wall, Spartan, and Cool-Headed. And somehow I didn't get high caliber despite doing over 6,000 damage. And check this shit out. A win 8 rating of 9,212. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to like and subscribe.